Good morning. How's everybody this morning? I guess it's a little after 8, so let's go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you all here. It is a sunshiny morning here in Texas, and I want to thank you all for coming at this early on a Sunday. Although we don't have a big crowd, it is certainly an important crowd. My name's Jim Oak, and I'm the building official of the City of Farmers Branch. Dallas is our suburb, so we're local here. And I'd like the board to introduce themselves. Mackenzie, you want to start?
Hello, everyone. My name is Mackenzie James. I'm Senior Plumbing Inspector for the City of Portland and Commercial Plans Examiner and Vice Chair for the PMG Council. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jay Peters. I'm ICC staff.
Good morning. Sean Martin, ICC staff.
Roger Rotundo. I represent the City of Phoenix. I'm the inspection supervisor.
Good morning. My name is Chuck Withers with the National Board. I'm the Assistant Executive Director for the Technical Department.
Good morning. My name is Luis Escobar. I am not on the membership committee, but I am representing my colleague Wes Davis for ACCA.
Good morning. I'm Carvin DiGiovanni with the Association of Pool and Spa Professionals.
Good morning. Mark Terzini, Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors National Association, or SMACNA. I'm here on behalf of Eli Howard.
Good morning. I'm Darren Drollinger, the Executive Director with the American Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers.
And since we've got a small crowd, can we go ahead and introduce who's out here in the crowd with us? You want to start, young lady? Thank you, Eileen. And before we go too far, Jay, did you have something with these?
Yeah, I would like to add to that just recently, and we're glad that they're here, but just recently we signed a memorandum of understanding with the SRCC to begin to work together and hopefully develop some standards and possibly other programs together. So we're very proud to have them here.
That's
Thanks
great.
for being here.
Excellent. Love to hear that. Love to partner up with y'all. We got back over here.
Mike Tiemont, I'm with the City of Las Vegas, Plans Examiner, representing the Southern Nevada chapter of ICC.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Dave. Thanks. Mr. Guy? We have a slot up here for you, Guy, if you want to come up here, but you can stay there too if you'd like. Either way. Okay, there you go. Let's start back behind. Hi, Steve. Oklahoma. Glad to see you, Jim. Philip. Come in. Excellent. Right, thanks, Ron. Once again, thank you all for coming. I do want to remind everybody that as we get to the public session, if you'll come up and speak into the microphones, if you've got anything to say. We are webcasting this, so let's not pick our noses, things like that. It'll show up, and it'll be on YouTube at some point in time. So we don't want to make a spectacle of ourselves too badly. The first thing, let's see what we got here. Webcast, we talked about that. We've done all this. Oh. Bob, you want to introduce yourself? I'm sorry, I didn't see you come in. Snuck in.
Bob Scott, State of Colorado.
Thanks, Bob. The first thing we've got on the agenda is I want to do an overview of our 2012 strategic goals. And as soon as I get this loaded up, we'll Can we get that on the screen? It'll catch up here with us in just a minute. Even though that the title is the PMG Membership Council, it also includes our brothers in the pool and spa industry, as Carvin can tell you, and we're real excited about the International Pool and Spa Code that recently came out. The PMG Membership Council was developed to allow all the PMG code officials and the PMG industry representatives to work together to improve the health, safety, and welfare of the public through promotion of PMG pool and spa profession. We're going to accomplish this through a cooperative effort in an attempt to accomplish the following goals, the goals that we've laid out in our strategic plan. This is the first draft of our strategic plan, and let's understand that the strategic plan and our goals will be continually reviewed, modified, updated, and added to so that we can keep up with the industry develops and continue to build relationships that will inevitably impact public safety. What I'm going to do is, once we get this up, we're going to go over each of our goals and talk to you too. We did a kind of a survey to see what was important to our members, and hopefully we'll go over what the relationship that we had with those survey information to the goals that we've set out in our strategic plan. I'm going to try and do this. The visuals help, but I'm certainly going to try and do this without that. Our membership, our first goal, or the goal that we've got first listed, although they're not, to me, they're not in order of importance as we go through them. But the first goal is membership, and we cannot obtain any of our goals without building our membership. We need to increase membership all the way around, both on the industry side and our building official side, or the plumbing mechanical official side. This increased participation, we need to focus on our ICC chapters as well as the professional organizations that the industry goes to. Building this membership will only help us in the long run to get where we need to be and to impact public safety. We need to build and maintain a strong industry relation. This is more important with the PMG Membership Council than it probably is with any of the other membership councils. We rely heavily on the diversity and the technical expertise of the industry. And 88% of our members, as we surveyed the members, 88% of the members responded that that in their survey that this was very important to them that we continue to build these industry relations. Communication is a goal that ties directly in with our membership, and we need to build a strong communication strategy that effectively assists us in accomplishing all of our tasks. Education, this is our main goal that we're going to talk about today and focus in on education and the education resources we have available and how we can expand on that. But I did want to tell you that 96% of our membership felt that this was... Not yet. Okay, not yet. He's getting there, though. 96% of our respondents felt that this was an important topic for us to address, and 68% felt that it was very important. Code development is another one of our goals, and we need to promote and encourage all of our members and others in the industry to participate in the code development process. We cannot expect others to do this work, and we need to be active in the process ourselves. We're going to talk a little bit about this later in the presentation, but 96% of our members felt that this was an important goal for us to achieve, is the participation in code development. Oh, look here, we got there. I'm going to see how many people I can make motion sick. That was a communication one. Education, that's where we're at now, so we're getting caught up. Code development, we talked about this one. The next one, 96 felt this was important. Code enforcement. Consistent and adequate code enforcement was one of the highest ranked issues that came out of our survey. We're going to need to really spend some time as a membership talking about how we develop consistent and uniform code enforcement in the PMG industry. This is going to take some studying, some formulation of recommendations and improvements in the area. I think education is certainly a good start at getting the consistency going, but there's also the code development and code adoption play an important role in having consistent code enforcement. And it's one of probably the largest things that impact public safety that we do is the code enforcement aspect of that. And once again, 76 felt it was important. 76% felt it was very important, while 96% felt that this was important. This was the highest ranking survey item that we had when we did our membership survey. Lastly, we talked about code adoptions. Code adoptions is we have to promote uniform enforcement of all the model codes, including the pool and spa code. But we need to get all these codes adopted and updated in all the jurisdictions around the nation. Let me go back one. This slide is just an attempt to show you that as we talked about that code enforcement, code development, education, and code participation are all very important, and they all rely heavily on each other. This is one big circle that we have to continue to develop and go forward with. Our last item that we have currently in our strategic plan is accessibility. This is one of the more goals that's really more specific as to working on the accessible provisions of the ICC A117.1 standard as they relate to plumbing systems. And so as we move forward a little bit, we'll get into a little more of what we do and how we go about this and come up with some strategies to address this. One thing I did want to mention before I close, at least on our strategic plan, CDP access, which is code development process access, a way to gain more participation. This kind of leads back into the code development process. We'll be having a meeting next door at 10:15 in Lone Star B. So I encourage you, if you've got any questions, we certainly try and answer those. But they're going to give you a lot of information next door following this meeting, and I encourage you to attend that meeting starting at 10:15. It's supposed to run till about 11:15. And do I have any questions on that? If not, does anybody have any questions on our strategic plan? Seeing heads shaking no, so that's good. What I'm going to do is we're going to turn this over to some of our membership members and talk about what they've got planned for education. And David, you're up first. You want to come? Have we got your presentation loaded up? Are you loaded in here, David, or do you have your own?
Sean had consolidated all the presentations together, so I think it's on here. There it is. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Outstanding. My name is Dave Dufresne. I'm the Executive Director of Education and Certification for ICC. I'm going to try to get through this. I am from Chicago, and if you were watching any of the NBA yesterday, Derrick Rose went down for the rest of the playoffs with a torn ACL. I'm half here this morning. I'm just letting you know I'm about half here this morning. Sean asked me to give a brief, 10-minute or so presentation, just a little overview of the ICC education program specifically for PMG. So for 10 minutes, I put together about 35 slides that I promise I'll go through them in close to 10 minutes. We'll see how it goes. I'm assuming this is the little doodad here. See if I got it going the right way. Nope, I have it upside down. Perfect. Before I get specifically into what we have today in under development for PMG specific content, I want to give just a brief overview of ICC education in general. We develop training on all of the I-codes, and not just limited to the I-codes. We develop training beyond the I-codes as well. It's really designed for the three things that you see up on the slide right now on the screen, to build skills and knowledge in the profession, keep current with the latest codes, and also to help prepare for ICC certification. Now, we don't specifically have training courses for this exam or that exam, but all of the courses that we do have are designed to help you as part of your overall process for getting prepared for an ICC certification. We deliver our training live in a classroom setting. In fact, the vast majority of what we deliver is live in a classroom setting. We also have webinars that we will do live and then archive and make available online. And then we have developed for online learning a number of different e-learning courses. We are an IACET approved or authorized provider. IACET, if you're not familiar with them, is the International Association of Continuing Education and Training. It's a body that has a series of standards that organizations can get accredited to. Basically, it's a stamp of approval or endorsement on your training development process, your philosophies, your way of delivering, your way of record keeping, all those kinds of things. And it's designed to give a kind of a standardized view of what a continuing education unit is. So when we say we give CEUs out for our courses, they are tied to the IACET standards. We're also an AIA continuing education provider. A number of our courses, a large number of our courses are approved for AIA learning units. We are also an education provider for the USGBC. A handful of our green-related courses are approved there. Plus, we have a number of state-level approvals for states that require specific courses to be approved for continuing ed within that state. The URL that's up here, and I don't know if I'm assuming these slides will be made available, I imagine, so you don't have to worry about writing that down. But all the information about our education program is at that web address. Just a little overview of what we did last year, just to kind of put it in context. In 2011, we delivered over 640 days of live classroom training around the country and around the world, actually, to over 22,000 students, plus about 4,000 online course enrollments. All these numbers, well, the first two numbers are up year over year from 2010 to 2011. The online course enrollments were a little bit down. We can talk about that if you're interested. As far as PMG is concerned, PMG specific classes on the plumbing code, the mechanical code, fuel gas code, accounted for only about 10% of these classroom days. So that's something that we can talk about when we get into the open discussion of whether that's a mix of the classes that we have available now that's more representative of maybe a mix in the membership and where the training interest was last year. I don't know. So we can certainly talk about that. As far as how code professionals get to our training, it's typically one of these four ways. They attend a chapter event or a jurisdiction-sponsored training event that ICC is putting on. They attend one of our own, ICC's own open enrollment events, or what we call institutes. We have a dozen of these or so around the country every year. They can certainly attend the ICC ABM. We have a full-day education program, and there's always PMG-related seminars at that, or they can register for one of our online programs. Now, over the past year, we've worked very, very hard more than the past year, but specifically over the past year to 18 months, we've worked very hard to improve what we're putting out there as far as training is concerned. I've been with the ICC for just shy of 2 years. It's actually just shy of 2 years by about a day or two. I think I started around the 1st of May 2 years ago. And we've put a lot of time and energy and effort into improving our education programs. We've completely redesigned our instructional design model, and that shows itself in the classes that we're putting out now. All the classes for the 2012 codes, and plus a number of existing courses that we've had that we've gone back and redesigned as well, to change the kind of methodology, the philosophy about what we're presenting, how we're presenting, everything from the look and feel of the slides to the way the instructor is interacting with the audience, the way that the instructor is prepared, those kinds of things. I have a couple of examples. I'm not going to go through too much of this, but again, it's a shift from what was more presentation mode with an expert standing up in front of the class and being an expert, right, and talking through the content and the material and engaging in discussion when the time was right, to more of a facilitation mode, which is to spur discussion, to spur conversation, small group activities, case studies, those kinds of things. And again, just go from a basic Q&A, what is this, what is that, to a case study. You're in this situation. This is the environment that you're in. This is the building. This is the situation. This is what's being installed. This is what you're inspecting. Let's talk about it. What do you see? What do you find? What do you feel? We have a new slide template, and what I want to do, I have a few slides here. This is from a 2009. This is straight. I just copied it straight from a 2009 mechanical code update course. And this was very indicative of what ICC, what the PowerPoints at least look like. Kind of a dark background, the white light, the white letters, not a whole lot of graphics, maybe some tables from the code, that kind of stuff. What we've redesigned it to is to be something much brighter, much more easy to look at for long periods of time. We have images, graphics on almost every page, whether it's illustrations like this, we have some photographs, we have things straight out of the code books. It's designed to be much more in depth. And by the way, this is the same section of the code, right? What we saw before was the Chapter 4 updates from 2009. This is the Chapter 4 updates for 2012. This is straight out of the course. What you don't see up here is what the instructor can see in the notes section when they get the PowerPoints for the class. In the 2009 course, the notes section was empty. In the 2012 course, the notes section is filled with information that the instructor can use to help deliver and facilitate discussion around the content that's up on the slides. So I'll just kind of go through these. Similar enhancements have been made to our online programs as well. The vast majority of what we do online today is what we call certification exam practice courses. Has anybody taken a CEP course in preparation for an ICC certification? They're basically practice exams, right? Broken down by the content outline of the exam, and there's practice questions and get it right, get it wrong, and then a final timed exam at the end. We've completely redesigned that look and feel for these online practice courses. We've also done quite a bit more online development that's not related to certification, that's designed from the ground up to be delivered online. I don't believe we've done anything in the PMG world yet, but certainly that's coming and something that we can talk about. I don't know how easy that is to see up there, but on the left side is kind of the before view of part of our certification exam practice course, and the right side is what it looks like now. And these 2012 CEPs have started to come out over the last 6 weeks or so. And again, what the questions will look like different now versus then. And then this is just a couple of examples of some of the custom e-learning that we're now starting to do. Again, this is something that we did for the state of Ohio. All of their 2010 building codes and fire codes, they want to do all of the update training for all of their code professionals online. They didn't want to develop any classroom. They contracted with us to develop the online training, and a couple of examples are up here from one of the building code courses. We've also developed and starting to develop more general purpose e-learning courses. We've developed an e-learning course on wind mitigation in cooperation with our foundation with Flash. And we've done a couple of courses with them as well on storm shelters and safe rooms. Again, these are all online. These are available on our online campus. So with that background, I want to go through quickly, because I know there's a handful of other speakers as well that are going to be coming up here, what we have today and key courses in development around our PMG codes. We typically will develop courses across these 4 different categories that you see up here. We have update/significant changes courses when a new code comes out. We'll go a little bit more in depth into a fundamentals series of courses for each of the codes, and then depending on the topic or the code, we'll have what we call a performing series, which is performing plan reviews or performing inspections, those kinds of things. And then as appropriate, we'll have certification exam practice courses that are online. So for the mechanical code, what we have today, certainly we have the IMC update course. It has been out and has been delivered, current to 2012. We have a significant changes course. The significant changes courses are a little bit more in depth, a little bit different flavor to them than the update courses. Instead of a workbook that the Education Department develops, we use a significant changes book that product development develops and we sell separately. We have a single significant changes course for the plumbing code, mechanical code, and fuel gas code, all joined into one course. We have also current to 2012 for the mechanical code, a design, installation, and inspection principles course. And then we have in development courses for commercial mechanical inspection, and then the certification exam practice courses as well. Similarly, for the plumbing code, there's the update course that's available. That's that same significant changes course. And then in development, we have a design, installation, and inspection principles course for the plumbing code, commercial plumbing inspections course in development, and then the CEP courses, the certification exam practice courses. Fuel gas code, I should say, we've had less courses, less demand, and I don't know if it's less demand because there's been less courses or we have less courses because there's less demand. Again, something that we can certainly talk about. We did develop an update course for the fuel gas code. It is part of that significant changes course that also covers plumbing code and mechanical code, and we are developing now a design, installation, and inspection principles course for the fuel gas code. We do not have a certification exam practice course. There is one ICC certification on a fuel gas code inspector, but we do not to date have an exam practice course for that. The IRC also has a number of mechanical and plumbing related code provisions, so we have training around those as well. We do have an IRC fundamentals course on mechanical, fuel gas, plumbing, and electrical provisions in development now for 2012. And if it says in development for 2012, you can assume that we have existing courses for the 2009 code or perhaps even the 2006 code where that's still being used. We have a course in development for performing residential mechanical inspections and performing residential plumbing inspections. And we also have existing course that can actually be delivered in a 1, 3, or a 5-day version for residential fire sprinkler systems, the design, installation, and code administration of that, plus a number of different IRC-related certification exam practice courses as well. What I don't show up here, and shame on me, I should, is the new pool code, the pool and spa code. We don't have any existing training yet for the pool and spa code. We have done in kind of an introductory, not even an update, introductory overview webinar for the pool and spa code. Previously, as far as classroom training is concerned, we are developing the fundamentals courses now for the pool and spa code that will be available before conference, before the ABM. We're targeting September timeframe to have those courses available. And I think that's it, 35 slides in about 10 minutes. So I think I did okay. Again, my contact information is up there. If you have any, I know we'll have an open discussion after the rest of the presentations, which is great. But if you have any one-on-one questions or concerns or issues that you want to talk to me about our education program related to or not related to PMG, please feel free. I do answer my email, and I sometimes even answer my phone, so that's easy to get a hold of. So thanks very much.
Thank you, David. We appreciate that. Darren Drollinger? You can either way. Have you got slides?
I do not.
Okay. Well, you can do it from right there if you'd
Okay.
like.
If you don't mind, because
No, not at all.
I'll be relatively brief.
Okay.
So, if you don't mind, perhaps it would be helpful for me to give just a little bit of background as to who we are. I suspect organizationally we're a bit different than some of the others. The American Society of Agricultural and Biological Engineers is a technical engineering or professional society. We have a little over 8,500 individual members. Biological and agricultural engineers often get confused as to the areas of specialty. I am an agricultural engineer, and like a great many others, going back probably more than 10 or 15 years ago, we didn't necessarily set out for that particular career focus. We're a specialty that is made up of a host of other engineering disciplines. The mechanical and civil and electrical engineering organizations are older than us, but we were established in 1907. So our 105-year history does give us some background and uniqueness. By and large, the majority of individuals that are motivated to get a degree in this field recognize the connectivity between design and core engineering principles and the living attributes of plants and things that grow and so forth. We started with the dawn and the mechanization of agriculture. So our earliest work and earliest education was to harmonize the curriculum and the teaching programs. We've changed a lot over the century, and although the mechanization of equipment is still at our core, close to 50 or 60% of our membership is involved in other areas. And so when I describe to people that we're a relatively small engineering discipline, we're incredibly diverse. And someone going into biological engineering today may certainly graduate and get a career working for a major equipment company, but they just as easily could go to work in the soil and water, the environment, food safety, food processing, and a host of other areas. We are a standards developer. We publish right around 250 standards. We also administer the U.S. position for 11 distinct ISO and IEC committees. One of the original touch points that we've had with ICC is that 3 of our design standards are included in the building code for post-frame construction. And this certainly has been a wonderful and strong tradition. What we're doing now, and very excited about, are memorandums with regard to irrigation and sprinkler systems. And it's kind of intriguing in that those paths are relatively similar to our post-frame construction work, that our core and our background and our primary focus is on agriculture and growing crops and supporting related things. And yet the technologies have evolved and been adapted into other areas. And so our experts and our member-driven focus is quite pleased and quite interested in getting more deeply engaged. We very recently submitted 2 standards dealing with soil cone penetrometers into the code structure. With regard to specific educational activities, again, we're a technical engineering group, and so often asked, well, how do we relate directly, say, with the users, farmers, or what have you? Not often directly. The lion's share of what we do is focused on the practitioners, the engineers, but we spend quite a bit of energy with regard to the ABET certification of the college programs. And also engineering licensure. We administer and develop the agricultural PE exam and have a host of training programs and online education dealing with that. Most of what we do is given and involved around our in-person meetings, our annual meetings, regional conferences, and so forth. And we routinely work with a host of groups. We have just a deep and proud history of working with a variety of trade associations and other organizations. And so this is my first meeting, my first opportunity to be here. We're very excited about it, and with that, thank you very much.
Thank you. Carvin, you ready to be up?
Top one? Perfect. Great. Thank you very much. All righty then. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Carvin DiGiovanni with the Association of Pool and Spa Professionals, and we too have a MOU with the ICC, and we're very pleased at some of the work that we've accomplished thus far, and we see a real bright future going forward with some of the activities that we are involved in. Primarily what I'm going to focus in on is the APSP and what we've been doing in terms of, standards, codes, and how it relates to education and how that's going to interface with the ICC in terms of what we've accomplished in the past, what we've accomplished now with the ICC, and where we expect to go going forward. So originally, a little bit about ourselves is that the okay, that's us. that the APSP as a trade association has been in business since, the early, I would say the late 50s, early 60s, under the name of the National Spa and Pool Institute, and has evolved recently in the change of the millennium to the Association of Pool and Spa Professionals. But we are the same trade association and geared towards going forward with basically our same mission is who we are is the trade association representing the pool and spa industry. Our mission is pretty straightforward, is obviously, as any trade association, we represent pools and spas. Obviously, we want to make sure that our members are able to sell pools and spas, and then once they are sold, we want to make sure that there's unreasonable regulations, and then we want to work with code groups in order to make sure that the pools and spas that are delivered to our customers are used and enjoyed and built safely. So it's kind of a triumvirate going forward that basically matches the same role as the ICC. So, a little bit about ourselves in terms of our makeup. As you can see, we cover the entire industry in terms of builders, manufacturers, distributors, retailers. So there's a lot of diverse groups amongst within our trade association, all basically trying to work together for the benefit of the industry, but uniquely enough, all our segments are keenly interested in standards development, government relations, and education across the board. So like all other trade associations, our members are really focused in on these deliverables to them, and obviously we now want to outreach and partner with groups like the ICC to further the impact of what we do across the nation. So this gives you a brief update as to how we're made up. Now, basically, our value proposition, I don't expect you to go through all this, but as you can see, like any trade association, we've got our list of priorities, and as you can see, the top four are the ones that I'm going to focus in on, top 4 or 5, which deal with the mainstay of any trade association. So government relations is key to us, and obviously code development and how those codes get into law is very, very important to us. And we want to work with many, many groups in order to do that. And as part of going forward, we want to establish our own pool professionals as certified individuals. So what we've come up with is a certified programs for them in each of the disciplines so that they feel as though they can achieve a sense of professionals and keeping up with the state of the art going forward. So as a trade association, we do provide several certification programs, which I will get into in a bit. But at the same time, I'm looking forward to opportunities on how to integrate those certification programs that we have and all the subject matter experts that we have with the ICC in order to kind of spread the knowledge, if you will. So standards, we start with that because that has been resourced by our trade association from our members because they kind of hone down and bring together the industry's position for government relations. It also basically harmonizes and pulls together the minimum guidelines for what it is and what's acceptable to build a very good or a safe pool installation. So that's basically the essence of our standards program is to achieve those two things to ultimately deliver a safe, enjoyable pool and spa. And this basically is our family of standards that we've been created throughout the years. We are an ANSI accredited standards developing organization. We've been such since 1983. We've been developing these standards under the ANSI umbrella since then, and we've got a family of 13 ANSI approved standards plus several of them that are lined up as drafts, if you will. And many of these standards are going to be the essence and the basis of going forward with the ICC. And at the same time, we've worked diligently prior to the ICC. We're getting a lot of these standards represented and into codes at various state and local jurisdictions on our own. So we were also in government relations petitioning the states and local jurisdictions to adopt these codes and standards, and primarily we've had good experience with our public pool and our public spa standard at the state level. Okay, so this basically is, and I do this for the benefit of the, kind of outlines our march through why we go through the standards development process. I don't expect you to kind of read that, but at the same time, that's the essence of why we do what we do. I don't expect you to read this list, but there's the full list of all our standards in terms of what we have to offer. And as new technology comes to the forefront, we will expand the program to include the new technology. So let's get into some of the recent successes here. And this is our ANSI APSP 16 standard, and because of our lobbying efforts and due to the technical merits of this standard, this APSP 16 standard is the drain cover standard, which represents, this is the new successor standard that's now been referenced by the CPSC in the Virginia Grain-Baker Act. So this is the first APSP standard to be recognized as a federal law. It's now part of the Virginia Grain-Baker Act in terms of the certification requirements that are needed for drain covers. So as you can see, there's a lot of work that went into this, and there's a lot of status with us now being recognized by CPSC to endorse this standard. It's now part of the VGB Act. Now this represents the trend going forward in terms of energy conservation. We've got two new standards that deal with that, one for portable electric spas, which is our APSP 14 standard, and the 15 standard, which deals with residential energy efficiency of residential in-ground swimming pools. So already, as a trade association, we have seen the trend of what our consumers want, what the marketplace is demanding. We already have ANSI APSP standards that deal with energy efficiency. So here again, these standards are also ready to be introduced into law going forward. Now, this is where we really got our feet wet with the ICC going back in history, and that was when we came up with our ANSI APSP 7 standard, which deals with suction entrapment avoidance, and we petitioned the ICC, and ultimately we were successful in getting the ANSI 7 standard adopted by the 2009 IRC and 2009 IBC codes, which basically is a ANSI standard which is consistent and also surpasses the requirements of the Virginia Grain-Baker Act. So here again, another plus, but this was our involvement, our initial involvement with getting with the ICC, and we were pleased to see that the ANSI 7 standard was adopted by those two codes. And believe you me, there was a lot of pushback over the years to prevent that standard from becoming adopted by the IRC, IBC, so it took a long educational code hearing after code hearing attempt to finally reach that goal, and we're very pleased about that and pleased with the relationship going forward. Now, looking at the general scope of, okay, now we've got the standards, we're doing individual hits, and eventually looking at the possibility, of working with the ultimate goal, and is how do we get all our standards into code across all 50 states where it's going to have the biggest impact, and that's where initially we started thinking about the possibility of working with the ICC to create a new a new pool and spa code that's going to do exactly that. So in our working relationship with the ICC, we have developed the International Pool and Spa Code, thanks to the help of Jay, staff, Michael Pfeiffer and his group, and working with the process of getting all those ANSI APSP standards that I saw before into this particular code, and now having it prepared, published, and ready for deliverable. Now, right now, our goal in working with the ICC is to get this particular pool and spa code into every jurisdiction in the United States, as well as the states. So we're looking forward to ways in which to maximize grassroots efforts to get this code into local jurisdictions. So this is going to take some work on behalf of all of us, and we all understand that it's got to be on the revision cycle. It's also got to be part of getting it into the attention of the code officials, but at the same time, it's going to take, here again, lobbying in order to make this happen. So we will do our part to assist the ICC government relations people to make that happen, but it's going to be a joint effort working forward in order to do that. So whereas we were working kind of independently alone before, we now, working with the ICC, have this as the deliverable that represents all our standards, and our job is to get it into every jurisdiction and state as possible. So we're looking forward to that, and that's our next challenge. Now, to talk a little bit about the APSP certification, this is now kind of focuses in on what we have to offer, and that is we've got our APSP certification. These are all our various certification patches. And as you can see, well, how we're broken up. The CBP stands for, we have a certification course to certify our professional builders. We have another certification course that certifies our service technicians, our CSP program. CHTT is we have for our hot tub folks. We have a certification program for those folks. Then we have a CMS, which is a certified maintenance service professional, as well as a CST, which is a certified service technician. So here again, we're trying to raise the professional of our members by giving them a status, and it's basically based upon classes and courses. In order to do that, to give you an example, this manual represents one of the manuals that is for the building professional, and as you can see, it's a very thick book, but it represents a lot of pictures, a lot of expertise from a lot of our subject matter experts, basically telling anyone how to go about building a pool from site selection up to the actual delivery of the pool. So we have kind of harvested all that information and put it into one manual, and we now have classes and courses for our certified builders to attend. And as we go forward with the ICC, we're looking for different opportunities in our education and training, as you can see in the last part, to partner with not only our own manufacturers, but to partner with the ICC, because it makes sense that now that we've already got this in place, the follow-up next mission is to come up with, as David was talking about, is certification courses based upon this code, and we're looking to work forward with the ICC in order to provide them with the subject matter experts in order to do that. So at the same time, while we certify your ICC code officials on the pool and spa code, we on contractor side, we want to certify our pool builders according to the same technology, so ultimately the contractors and the pool contractors and the code officials are talking the same language in the field, hopefully to deliver quicker, better installations based upon getting permits a lot quicker. So we're looking forward to doing just that. And here again, this is a picture of some of the manuals that I had, and this is examples of our workbooks and our certification for our service technicians that's available. So to kind of put a summary to all this is to basically say we've got the pieces in place. What we now want to do is look for other opportunities in order to maximize and get this out there and working with going forward. I know we're working with Fred Grable and his group and Dave Bowen. We're putting together a commentary right now as we speak to enhance this. And now we look forward to other ways in which to come up with certification programs. So in total, we are basically like a poster child from a memorandum of understanding of what can be done when an outside trade association sees the vision and can partner with the ICC in order to deliver all these joint beneficial goods. Okay? That's it for me. Did I do it in time? All right. Leave this. Give her. Which one? That one, top one. See if we go. There you go. Good.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chuck Withers with the National Board of Boiler and Pressure Vessel Inspectors. As I go through, the National Board of Boiler and Pressure Vessel Inspectors is an organization that basically put the glue together to a number of other organizations. And I'll explain that. There's really, these are a few pictures of the National Board. We do have 4 buildings on site. Actually, one is off site. But we do get involved with training quite a bit. Commissioning inspectors, training of organizations associated with boilers, pressure vessels, piping, and any other materials that could retain pressure, such as fiber reinforced type vessels, graphite type vessels. We do get into those materials as well. What I'm going to do this morning is take 10 minutes, and I could probably take hours talking on some of these subjects, but I'm going to look at the organization as a national board first, and as well as the historical timeline, because that's really why we're at the point we're at today as far as training and education. So it does play a big factor in how the National Board came about and who the organizations that we're closely tied with. If you look at the National Board as far as the organization, we are members All of our members, and we have about 65, 66 chiefs, chief inspectors, chief boiler inspectors for the states, provinces of Canada, and some cities out there. To be a member of the National Board for the cities, you have to have at least 1 million people within that city. So we don't have that many cities, but most of the states and provinces of Canada are members of the National Board. We're a not-for-profit organization, and our goal is public safety, just like ICC. We're all involved together, and as I go through, and my final part of this presentation will be a couple paragraphs that I wrote within the National Board Bulletin as far as how we come together, which includes ICC. We are an ASME designee. We work very closely with the American Society of Mechanical Engineers in developing codes for new construction. The National Board also is a standards developing organization. We are an ANSI standard, and we do deal with the post-construction activities. So we have one standard that we work to, that we develop, but it actually has 3 separate individual parts. We look at installation, we look at inspection requirements, and we look at repairs and alterations to that equipment. Very distinct parts, and they have very distinct requirements and guidelines to meet. With the organization, again, the National Board is made up of chief boiler inspectors. We do have a board of trustees that has an advisory committee with a number of other interested organizations, such as labor, manufacturers, inspection agencies. They're all part of that advisory committee. And we do have the executive director, and my title is the assistant executive director for the technical. So that's what we've got about 70 staff at the National Board, but we've got a lot more interested parties around the world. We are an international organization as well. Now, this historical timeline really puts everything together in perspective. It really started from back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when we were getting about 50,000 boiler accidents every year, causing a lot of deaths, causing a lot of property damage, including wiping out complete city blocks. So that was a major concern at that point. At that time, ASME got together, got a number of engineers together, developed the ASME, American Society of Mechanical Engineers. They began developing construction codes for boilers at that point in time. The issue was that you had the insurance companies out there performing inspections on this equipment for liability issues, and the jurisdictions started to try to adopt the ASME codes, but there was nothing that was putting it all together. That's where the National Board in 1919 came together. We got all the jurisdictional chief inspectors together at a meeting, and it was determined at that point in time to have one code, one stamp, and that was the ASME. So at that point in time, the National Board was basically the glue to put the inspection agencies, the insurance companies, ASME, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, and the jurisdictions together to look at rules and regulations and make sure that we had consistency. One of the big problems was that jurisdictions at that point in time, each jurisdiction was acting separate. So they would adopt the ASME code at that point in time for boilers, but there was really no way to get one boiler that was manufactured in one jurisdiction into another jurisdiction without some sort of assurance that the requirements were being met. The National Board at that point in time started 1920. We commissioned our first inspector. That's the education, the training, and the experience that's needed to go out there and perform the inspections. That's what the National Board today is really focusing on. Again, we are standards development. We developed the National Board Inspection Code, 1946. And again, we have a National Board mark as well for the repairs and alteration process. So now we get into the training, and really, we actually completed our process for ISET accreditation just a couple weeks ago. So we are approved through ISET, and we talked about that earlier, so I'm not going to get into that. But it is an important part of this education training process. And we feel if you look at some key words here, promote, ensure quality. Really, that's what we see as a National Board, as an organization. The last bullet here, recognized and committed to education and training through rigorous evaluations and verification programs. That's what the quality program is really dealing with as far as education and training and the ISET accreditation. We want to make sure that we're going to maintain quality within our organization for a good classroom environment and online training to make sure that our students are getting the best possible, as well as within our organization, how we can continually improve on that training. This is just a little slide from our National Board website. And what we've tried to do here is make it easier for individuals when they log on to our website to get the information that they need regarding training. We've improved this quite a bit over the past year. So we do have course descriptions, class dates are there. The body of knowledge requirements for each class is listed. The agendas for the courses, what are the reference materials needed, and if you're going to take the exam, and you don't have to take the exam, these courses are open to anyone. Typically, the commissioned inspector wants to go through these courses to get their endorsements. But the candidate handbook actually tells them exactly what they need to go through and pass the examination and what are the requirements for the exam. And we make it easy for enrollment. So you can do it online. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can easily call the National Board, get the answers that you need. That was classroom training. We have the same basic requirements for online training. Some of the changes that we've made, and this is on the on our website as well, but we do have a calendar of training. What we've done now is actually, we used to develop this calendar on an annual basis. We've gone to developing the calendar on a 6-month basis to give a little bit more flexibility to organizations that are looking for specific classes, when they need those classes, when they want to send their people. So by going 6 months, we add that flexibility and we can make changes, and we're not locked into the publication cycle. If we look at some of the classroom training that we have, these are just a few courses, but the recent updates that we've made, we were able to add additional classes to specific months on an as-needed basis. Exam retakes, what we've done, we have a contract now through AMP, which is the Applied Measurement Professionals, and right now there's about 176 facilities in 17 different countries that if you're interested in taking the in-service commissioning examination, you can go to these facilities, take the test, and it's all handled at the facility. You don't have to come to the National Board to take those exams. Now, certain other endorsements for commissions, such as the new Construction A course, you have to attend a course at the National Board. You have to take the exam once the course is completed. If you fail that exam, now we've made it a little bit easier. You used to have to go back to the jurisdiction to retake that exam. Now you can go back to an AMP facility and take it. So it does make it a little bit easier for the students. Also, what we do is we do go around the country. We do provide seminars and instructions for valve repair and repair organizations, getting into the welding aspects, design considerations, things like that are needed out there. We have a rotation. So we look at the East Coast. This year, we're looking at October, around the October time frame, to give these courses in Massachusetts. Next year, it's Houston. Following year, Seattle. And the previous year, last year, was in Seattle. So we have that continual rotation in those regions. So people that are interested, anybody can attend these seminars. Our online training is probably one of the biggest areas that we've improved upon within the past year, say. Right now, we've got 11 online training courses. And if you look at those first two, Code Reading Primer, and it's explaining how you read the codes. And sometimes it's not an easy chore to look through these code books and understand what you're reading. So it goes through and tells you exactly the step-by-step what you need to do to understand and read through these codes so you don't apply something that you shouldn't be looking at. We also have a basic math course, and some of the inspectors out there need this for shop inspection. When they review and design calculations, things like that, if they're going out and performing in-service inspections, you got to make sure that the minimum thickness required for that particular pressure retaining item is maintained. So the basic math, we are looking at an advanced math course that deals strictly with all code calculations. Much more tougher course. But if you sign up for the IS course, the IC course, same thing in service, or if you sign up for the A course for new construction, you do get these courses for free. And what we've tried to do is make sure that these online training courses are not a burden as far as cost. So we go from free to $150 on our online training courses, which I think is reasonable. Again, we're a not-for-profit organization. We're not looking to make money on these courses. What we're actually looking at in development right now is certified individuals for pressure relief devices, and that deals strictly across the board on the ASME construction codes. So we're looking at Section 1, which is power boilers, Section 8, which is pressure vessels, and Section 4, which is heating boilers. So across the board, we're looking at pressure relief devices. We do have certified individual courses today. For the other codes, continuing education, this is probably the biggest area that we've looked at within the past year. Continuing education is important for the National Board. What we've done, we've gone from a 3-year requirement for continuing education for commission inspectors, which really had anything basically that they've gone out and trained on, they could count that towards their continuing education. What we've done now is gone from 3 years to 2 years. We've added very specific requirements so that inspection agencies that have their inspectors out there or other organizations that want to perform training, if they want to meet these requirements, they have certain requirements that have to be fulfilled. And we've developed those requirements so we have the consistency and uniformity across the board for training. One of the big areas that we're looking at is course evaluations and surveys. We develop, every time we give a course at the National Board, we develop a very specialized student survey that's sent out electronically. We used to give them in-house. Now we send them out electronically. We keep it simple, but every course evaluation is a special evaluation. So we're not going to get the same questions every single course that we give. So our managers will develop specific questions relating to that course. We also pass out at each class a Rate the Instructor card, which really is dealing with knowledge and presentation of that instructor. So not only do we want to make sure that the students have a good quality class environment as far as the training and the education, but we want to make sure that our instructors are kept up to speed as well, and where and what we have to do to improve our instructors. Industry support. The National Board, again, has a number of meeting rooms, a number of classrooms that could be utilized. We do invite other organizations, if they want to use the facilities, they're more than welcome to at no charge. The National Board, in fact, next month is hosting Marathon Oil. So they're getting all their supervisors to come to the National Board meeting there as well. But we do get ASME board meetings there. We do get inspection agencies holding their meetings at the National Board as well. Share training updates to the industry. One of the things the National Board does is we put out a National Board bulletin, talks about technical items, talks about training as well. This is put out 3 times a year. We do have a quarterly newsletter for training as well that goes out to about 10,000 individuals or parties that are concerned with training at the National Board. Just keeps them up to date of what the National Board is doing. Probably the last thing what I like to do is read a couple of sentences out of that article I wrote. And it starts off, the National Board of Boil and Pressure Vessel Inspectors, the American Society of Mechanical Engineers, and the International Code Council are established organizations with one common vision, and that's safety. And under importance, and this is the key, this is why we're all here, jurisdictional rules, regulations, safety codes, and standards are living documents, forever changing in response to a perpetually evolving technical and global environment. As such, many safety-minded organizations realize the importance and responsibility of communicating and participating as voluntary members in developing these safety codes and standards. It's even more important for standard developing organizations to clearly define the boundaries of applicability for specifying rules and regulations to prevent confusion, overlap, and conflicts. That's why training is so important. So, I'm going to leave it at that. 10 minutes is not a whole lot of time, so.
Thank you, Chuck. Luis, you want to come up or you want to stay where you're at? Okay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Luis Escobar. I'm with the ACCA. There you go. I am the Technical Services Engineer, and I'm here representing ACCA on behalf of Wes Davis. Just talking today about our educational offerings at ACCA. First, a little bit about us. We are a national trade association that represents the technical, educational, and policy interests of U.S. companies that design, install, and maintain indoor environmental systems. And we were officially founded in 1914 as a national warm air heating and air conditioning association, and after a few name changes, we came up with the Air Conditioning Contractors of America back in 1969 and have remained the same. But we have been changing. We have realized that the industry has evolved. We're not only the air conditioning contractors anymore. We've taken on other aspects of the industry, and so we've changed our tagline, our vision statement, and we have a new mission statement. It's to lead America's indoor environmental and energy professionals to business success, because that's what we're here for. We want to make sure that they do a job well and that they stay in business. Now, our approach. We have a 5-pronged approach. We offer contractor support. We assist the consumers. We reach out to government officials, we also develop industry relations, and we leverage our technical expertise, which is what we're going to be talking about today for our educational offerings. Just a couple of our resources. We are an ANSI standards development organization. The ones that are more famous in the industry are our Manual J for load calculation, our Manual D for duct system design, and our Manual S for equipment selection. But as you can see, we have many more, and these are only a few. Now, our educational offerings, we try to reach out to, first off, the designers of these systems. We also go after the code and government officials. We want to make sure that they're kept up to date with what's going on in the industry. And then we also want to make sure that we educate the consumers. And the way that we do all of this is we have 4 different educational offerings. We have in-person training, we have online offerings, we have industry meetings, and then we have literature to help educate people on their own. So, to start off, our more prevalent one is the HVAC system design course that we have about once a quarter. It's taught by a professional that has over 30 years of experience in the field, Mr. Jack Rise. It's a 3-day course. It's comprehensive. It covers our manuals J, D, and S, and includes a little bit on our Standard 5 for quality installation of HVAC systems. This course is also available on our store in CD form, so that people that can't make it out to our headquarters can also buy these and take the course on their own time at home. We also offer Jack to go out to special groups if they have an interest. Usually it's for groups about 20 or more, and he does the exact same course. We also do have, it's not just residential, there is a commercial version which takes place about twice a year. Another in-person training is the EPIC course, which is taught by Hank Rutkowski, who is the professional engineer that develops most of our manuals. EPIC stands for the Educational Program in Instructor Certification. So this is geared towards the industry designers that want to start teaching the design course themselves. They have what it entails is 4 days of thorough going over our manuals and the processes, and then at the end of this course, the people that want to can take a very comprehensive knowledge exam. It takes about 80 hours to complete. They finish it and they send it in to Hank, who grades it, and if they pass, they are certified as an instructor in HVAC design. The upcoming dates, as you can see, is in July, and it is held in our headquarters in Virginia. Now, ACCA is a federation of various local and state chapters. We have 48 total right now. There are more that are starting to be developed. And what they do is they also have in-person training in their regions. And they do this on their own schedule, so it's not something that we regulate from national. Now, our online offerings are mainly available in 2 forms, Comfort U and our Hot Topics webinars. Now, Comfort U is our online learning center, and this has 2 different sub-offerings. The first would be a library of on-demand webinars, which the interested person would pay a monthly subscription fee, and there are a host of interesting topics so that they can do on their own time. And there's also dedicated courses that are like our design courses, only they're available online, but they do have a very easy way of contacting the instructor so that they can get any kind of support or clarification if they don't understand something. And the topics, some of them include the more technical topics, because we are interested in making sure that they develop as businesses too, but the technical topics tend to include our manuals, home performance, energy efficiency, hydronics, quality installation, and technical troubleshooting. Just a little screen cap of what someone that would get into the webinars would see is they'd be able to choose out of a menu like this, and what it would look like is it'd pop up as a video in their screen. And like I said, they could stop or stop. The difference between our hot topic or our webinars, these, and the courses is that the courses they can actually stop and pause, close it, and come back and open it in the exact same place. The the webinars aren't like that. They close it, if they open it, it starts over again, but they're pretty easy and accessible to anyone. And our other online offering is the Hot Topics. These are available only to the members, and this is really what's breaking news and it's what's of urgent importance to the industry. Our most recent one was on the DOE regional standards that are about to be initiated. This is a little screen cap of what that looked like. This one in particular was done by our Vice President of Government Relations, Charlie McCruden, and it was very well attended. Now, the third way that we try to do education for the industry is through our industry meetings. We have both a big annual conference, and then we also have smaller meetings. And the smaller meetings allow experts or interested parties in more nuanced topics to get together once a year. The three that we have going are the Hydronics Roundtable, the Building Performance Council, and the Service Managers Forum. And what's interesting is at these meetings, they not only get to attend seminars by industry experts, subject matter experts, they also get to network and learn from each other. We do mixed groups, and that helps them do a lot of that. And the other one would be our flagship event, our annual conference. This past year was held in March in Las Vegas. Next year is going to be in Orlando. And what we do for that is we have learning labs in 3 different tracks, in HVACR, in hydronics, and then in business development. And then, as you can see, the technical topics, they range in topics. And what we do is we poll the members to see what they're interested in, what's urgent for them to learn, and we find speakers, subject matter experts, to come and give presentations on that. And the good thing about this is that we do as much as possible to make sure that we offer continuing education units for these courses. Now, in terms of educational literature, we have 2 different types. The first would be technical bulletins that are more geared towards members and other experts, technical experts, and each one of these is about 15 pages each on a specific topic and is developed by an expert. This is just a little picture of what one would be. This one deals with ASHRAE 62.2. This was from a couple of years ago. And so what we also want to do is we want to make sure that we don't neglect the consumer. And we have what we call our comfort tools. And these are available to our members to leave behind to educate them on different topics, on filter replacement, on furnace changeouts, things that they might not be very well aware of. And we try to make it as accessible as possible for them so that they're not overwhelmed with technical jargon. And that covers the ACCA's educational offerings.
Thank you, Luis.
Mark, did you want to come up? Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Mark Terrazini. I'm a project manager with SMACNA, which is the Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors National Association. There's 4 of us in our technical staff, and we work together with our membership and those in industry to develop a number of standards. We're also an ANSI standards developing organization, like many of the folks before us have mentioned. So we're going to talk a little bit specifically about the educational programs that we offer. The topics that we cover generally focus on our standards. We have a number of standards. Probably the most primary one that's referenced in the building codes would be our duct construction standard for HVAC. We also have a duct air leakage testing standard that's referenced in many of the building codes. But we also offer manuals that are not technically a standard. They're not written in mandatory language, such as our architectural manual, which we just released a new edition of. And when it comes to architectural, the reason why we don't write it in mandatory language is the architects like some flexibility. So some things we develop as standards, some things we develop as guidelines. Another popular guideline that we have is relates to fire damper installation. But again, everywhere in that manual it says you must consult the listing instructions and properly install it. But there are certain things that are consistent across all of them. Another topic that we generally cover is seismic bracing. Again, we want to focus on our area of knowledge, so we focus on ducts and pipes in the building. We don't cover seismic bracing of everything in a building. We also cover sometimes various codes. So these aren't things that we necessarily develop, but impact our membership and people in our industry. So we do cover various codes. Obviously, they're going to be related to sheet metal or HVAC or architectural, so something that's still within our umbrella. Some of the codes that we've covered in the past are certain energy or green codes. We've done presentations on the IECC and the IGCC as well as others. Sometimes we do a presentation that is just on that code as it relates to our industry. Sometimes we do a presentation that, for instance, might be on duct construction, and then we'll mention how that applies to the International Mechanical Code. So a lot of times under one presentation, the relationship is established between the two. We also cover other industry standards from time to time. We cover things out of ASHRAE such as Standard 189, Standard 90.1, 62.1. These are the big players that impact our members. We also cover from other organizations such as ASCE, the civil engineering. Their folks develop standards related to seismic loads and wind loads, and so we'll cover those. Again, we don't do a full presentation on standard ASCE 7, but we'll incorporate it into our seismic presentation and how it applies. Okay. And then we also cover various industry trends and technologies. We do presentations on BIM, or Building Information Modeling. We cover fire life safety. We cover OSHA and safety rules. And we also offer, would be only to our members, things that are like business management or business development, how to pass your business on from first generation to second generation, etc. Those are generally offered to our membership only. We do try to approach a wide audience, but many times when we go to give our presentation, we know in advance the general makeup of the audience. If not, many times we'll also ask the audience, for instance, how many engineers are in the audience, how many contractors in the audience, how many code officials, etc. We try to tailor the presentation to best fit the audience. We do have programs and manuals geared specifically for the inspecting world. We have a duct inspection manual, we have an architectural inspection manual, and we've even done presentations at local inspectors events. I know we've done a couple in the state of Virginia, for instance. And then we also offer advanced classes. Generally in the advanced class, we're dealing with experienced contractors or other trainers. Sometimes we do what we call train the trainer. So they'll come, they'll learn the standard, and then they'll take that and go to their local training center and be able to pass that information on as well. Again, the audience, our typical audience, the people who actually come hear us speak, are primarily contractors, and they can range anywhere from the owner of a contracting firm to their journeymen or most experienced workers, all the way down to the apprentices or the new guys in the field. Most of our audiences also consist of a large portion of engineers. We get a small percentage of architects, I'd say maybe 10%, and about the same from the code officials. We get various building inspectors, we've had fire marshals, depending upon the topic that we're covering. And then again, sometimes our audience are teachers or trainers in the industry. They want to come learn a topic so that they can go teach it. Some of the accreditations. Most of the folks that sit in the audience are trying to earn PDHs or professional development hours from the engineering community. The requirements of those vary from state to state, but we've always been able to, once we know what those requirements are, either adjust or change the presentation if necessary. In many cases, we don't have to do anything differently to obtain whatever the requirements are so that they can turn in those hours towards their requirements. For instance, the state of New York has a certain set of requirements that you have to meet. We've done that several times. I know in the state of Ohio, we have local chapters there that have actually gone to their state boards, and they are designated as a training facility or as proctors. So they don't have to offer the presentation. We could offer a web-based presentation, but part of the requirement in the state of Ohio in order for that to qualify is it has to be proctored so that there's somebody there to confirm that you are sitting in the seat, that you are paying attention, and that you are participating in the presentation and not just turning in a attendance slip. Again, that varies from state to state. We do have a couple of programs that we've done based on CEUs or continuing education units. We actually did a few last year at your annual conference in Phoenix. We're also registered with the American Institute of Architects. You can go on their website, and many of the topics that we offer are already pre-certified, if you will, through the AIA. Now, as far as certifications are concerned, SMACNA is not a certifying body. We do not certify people or products, but we do have, and it's part of how we're set up from a legal and tax standpoint. But we do have other partners in the industry that we work with to do offer various certifications. We have something called the SMACNA Testing and Research Institute. One of the things that they do is they can verify shop standards. So if you're a fabricator of ductwork, you can send in your shop standards. They can be reviewed, sent back to you, and if you do everything correctly, you'll get a letter that says your shop standards have been verified to confirm or to be in compliance with SMACNA's duct construction standards. We also offer an opportunity for proprietary manufacturers. One of the things of being a standards developer is that you don't want to put proprietary products in your standards. So we do give an opportunity for those folks that offer proprietary products to tie their product into a standard by sending it to the Testing and Research Institute, having it evaluated, and then you'll get a letter that explains, it depends on what it is, how it relates to our standards. The two most popular items that we currently do are like various duct hanging systems and also duct connection systems. Those are some of our most, I guess, popular customers, I'll call in that realm. We also have a relationship with UL, and you can take the shop verification standards to another level. It involves UL visiting the shop and making sure there are certain programs in place in your fabrication, mainly a checks and balances or quality control program. Anyways, if a contractor or fabricator goes through that process, they will then have a UL listed duct that they can offer. And then another partner is TABB, or the Testing, Adjusting, and Balancing Bureau. Those folks actually certify individuals. So they have certifications related to commissioning, fire life safety, testing, adjusting, and balancing, and also sound and vibration. So how do we offer these? Well, we offer them in a number of different ways. We do a number of in-person presentations. Usually that's for larger audiences. For instance, every year we participate in the AHR Expo. Like I said, we were here at the ICC conference in Phoenix last year. We also go out for local groups. So a lot of times an ASHRAE chapter, which are the engineers, will invite us out and give a presentation. We've done for code officials and code bodies and also for contractors. The best way to get us out on a local level, which you can always contact us at the national level, but we try to get our local chapters involved in the local environment, so we ask that you go through our local chapters, and there's a list of those on our website. We do offer them online. We have live webinars. Okay, you can go to our website, sign up for a particular webinar, sit down and watch it. We don't care the number of attendees. You can have 100 people in a room if you have a facility like this, and all sit down and watch the presentation. The webinars do provide an opportunity for two-way communication, but it's not the same as a live presentation, because you can imagine the audience is a lot larger. The way we do the technical webinars, which are the ones that are open to basically anybody that wants to sign up for them, is that we have multiple staff members that are fielding the questions while the presentation is going on. So what you do is you type in your question and somebody will answer it. It may not be the person actually speaking because we're working on a certain time frame. We're trying to keep the presentation moving, but you can ask your question, you send it in via computer, and we send you back a response. We also record all of those webinars. So if you miss the live version, you can typically go to our website and download a recorded version. And then again, so we offer those 24/7 online, live in person, or live via the web. Okay, so when do we offer these again? 24/7 on anything that's online. We typically do 2 to 3 live presentations a month. It varies from month to month, but coming up in May, we're going to Disneyland. We have a chapter in Orange County, California. Several California chapters have something they call Industry Day. They invite local engineers, contractors, code officials, anybody that wants to attend. We're doing a 2-hour presentation on duct leakage and leakage testing. We're doing a 1-hour presentation on LEED. So there again, LEED is not something we develop, obviously, at SMACNA, but it does impact our membership. There is a relationship there, so we have a 1-hour presentation on that. May 17th in St. Louis, there's a 1-hour presentation on duct leakage, 1-hour presentation on duct design and acoustics in a duct system, and then a 1-hour presentation on codes, so changes that go on in the codes that would affect our industry, and LEED. We also offer from time to time something we call Tech University. This is a very intense, it's a 2-day course on many of our most popular standards. So you'll send somebody in there, they'll sit there for 2 days and have to listen to our technical staff go through and hammer these codes out. But it's going to be very interactive. We actually have little samples of duct there that they're like models that they can take apart and put together. So we try to make it interactive. We try to have various pieces of equipment that they would use to help them better understand the material. So some other tools that we're working on. We have developed an app, and we are developing other apps. Duct leakage testing is a very popular topic. You've heard me mention it several times in this presentation. So we developed an app around that. We are offering that for free. Anybody can download the app. It's very simple to use. You basically punch in a couple of parameters, and it gives you what the pass-fail criteria would be utilizing the SMACNA standard. Okay, and anybody can use that, even from the contractor in the field to do the test in advance to a code official that wants to verify that they do the right process. Punch in the information and it gives you an answer. We're also working on a duct construction app. Okay, and that one's not done yet. But again, the intent there is even if you don't have a solid background in sheet metal work, you can take a little bit of information, punch it in, and get an answer so that you can check somebody's work, even if that's not the background. And those are, of course, based on SMACNA standards, and they are referenced in the International Mechanical Code, the International Energy Conservation Code, and the IGCC as well. So if you want to contact us, a good place to go is our website, smacna.org. We do also offer technical white papers on many of the topics. A lot of times they are code related, but they are there. They explain to the industry what the code is, what our position is, and many times in that case our audience is the contractor, so we'll offer them advice if necessary on that. We do have something called a technical inquiry process, and the way that works is you go to our website, anybody, and I mean anybody, we get questions from all over the world, can ask a question related to our standards. Sometimes they don't stick to our standard, they're about the industry, and we do try to, at the very least, point them in the right direction if it's something that we don't have a real jurisdiction to provide a definitive answer. But anybody can submit a question. We get a number of questions from various code bodies that way. Is this compliant with the SMACNA standard that I'm trying to enforce? And so it opens up a dialogue, and we'll send you a response. Sometimes we'll pick up the phone if it's one of those cases that require that. Many times we'll send you a response in writing. You can also find our local chapters there, which is a great way to communicate with us and get you involved with the local community that you're in your area of jurisdiction. And you can also invite folks from the national staff, if necessary, to provide topics. And then the webinars are also all on the web. Our phone number is 703-803-2980. Ask for somebody in technical services, and we'll get you going. Thank you. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. And I'm looking for that app that I can just take up there and wave it up there and tell me if it's complied or not complied. So y'all working on that one?
I do have a patent on that.
Do you have a patent on that? That's great. That's great. After listening to these folks, there is certainly a huge amount of training out there that I wasn't aware of. And I'm sure you feel the same, but we'd like to open this up at this point to see if anybody's got any questions of any of the members that were presented, or if you have any suggestions about training opportunities, things like that. We'd certainly like to open it up and have people come up and tell us where they think is going on, what we're doing well, what we're not doing well. Please come forward. Identify yourself.
Good morning. My name is Gary Klein with Affiliated International Management. I spent a lot of time in the last couple of years working on the new green code, the IGCC. There are several sections in there that I know are new, and I'm wondering how those are going to be taught and who's going to be able to help with that. Having helped develop them, I would certainly be interested in helping, but I'm just curious as to how that's going to proceed.
Come on, you can come up and answer.
Well, it's just, this is Sean Martin. I just wanted to invite Dave Dufresne up. He's probably the best position to answer this. Not to put you on the spot, Dave. Yeah, not at all.
All the way down at the end, Dave.
Yeah, I'll play the role of Kenneth Kerr today. As far as the IGCC is concerned, I know within ICC we have, it'll follow a similar line to what we do with codes in general, right? So we have fundamentals training that already exists right now in the 2012 code that goes through all the various sections of the code at various levels of depth depending on what the section is. And then we are now developing our more advanced, more in-depth courses now. The exact designs and layouts, I can't speak to those right now, but if there's specific areas that you think are going to be of greater concern or greater need or greater interest, please let me know and we'll make sure that those are areas that we're focusing on.
Well, I'll be pleased to help you with the sections I'm most familiar with.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jerry. Do you have any other questions? Come on up.
Mike Timon, City of Las Vegas. What I was wanting to know, a lot of the codes have been geared to be prescriptive methods of design, and geared towards homeowners being able to participate in the construction of their projects. Is it been considered to have rudimentary training sessions to familiarize the public with code and how to go about getting the information they need, whether it be an online class that they could participate in some way?
Go ahead. If you've got anything on that.
Yeah, nothing specific to the PMG codes necessarily, but we have developed a couple of online programs that are targeted towards homeowners as well as a contractor community. We have one that's focused on high wind mitigation for homeowners and the parts of the home to look at and have inspected and beefed up from a mitigation standpoint. And then we also have a couple of courses that are finishing up development now around storm shelters in homes, and specifically for homeowners and what to look for and pricing and how to work with contractors and those kinds of things.
Excellent. I was also curious, we're working on outreach in our community with our ICC chapters, so are there publications that are easy to find and click, or do I just need to explore the site a little bit more?
Well, when you say publications like
pamphlets, handouts?
Actually through the ICC Foundation.
Okay.
They have a lot of that kind of information that you can download from their website.
I'll click around there.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mark?
Another comment or two, actually, just to respond to that. Carvin, did you want to go?
I was just going to say, this is Carvin DiGiovanni again with the Association of Pool and Spa Professionals, and one of the objectives that we see as a follow-up to the International Pool and Spa Code is to convey, obviously, the safety messages to the consumer, the homeowner, because that's really where, this has the greatest impact of saving lives and preventing injuries, obviously. And one of the couple of things that we've done with our standards prior to going into this code is we've worked with coming up with pamphlets and brochures and consumer pieces that would supplement the standards to kind of better educate the consumer, not only with the safety aspects, but what to expect from the pool professional when it comes time to install and design and construct the pool. So now going forward, as I'd like we have that in the can, so to speak, but going forward, I think where we see also opportunity is with the Pool and Spa Code is that we are in the process of developing the commentary, which is going to be, well, this is what the code means, this is what is intended in the code, and if we word it correctly, this could be a wonderful consumer-oriented piece that will educate the homeowner to say, well, this is what the local jurisdiction has put into law, and by getting a copy of this code, this would be a wonderful thing to kind of further explain what the requirements are or the intent of the requirements. So this would be another opportunity to do that. But your point is well taken. In other words, we haven't really fully developed this, but we understand, like what you've just identified, what can we do to create a better outreach to the homeowners, the consumers, to better educate them on these codes and what to look forward to. It's very, very important, and I see different opportunities we can take advantage of here. So I thank you for that comment.
Sean, did you have something?
Yeah, and your point's well taken too. The ICC has also developed some material we call Introduction to Building Codes. It's a page on the PMG website. I'd encourage you to go there. We've had really good traffic there, and what it does is it has a series of materials, resources, and then at this point, 2 webinars we're likely to add on to it. The first goes into what is a building code. I mean, we go all the way back to the beginning, and I think Chuck did a good job of kind of talking about where the building codes come from. And this seeks to do some of the same thing. Where did they come from? Why do we have them? And we go through some frequently asked questions like, why can't I build whatever I want? You know, if the building falls down on me, why do I have to have a code? I should be the only one who cares, that kind of thing. But it goes through what some of the societal implications are and why we have them, but it goes from the basic for a layperson who just wants to understand why on earth we have these codes. So that's webinar number 1, where they came from, why we have them. Really basic on how they work. The second one goes into how the model codes work and how ICC goes about developing the model codes, changing the model codes, so on and so forth. And we've had really good traffic there. Flash is working on that as well. FEMA's looking at it for some material. But I think your point's well taken, because I could kind of see some other modules that would get into things for homeowners and says, hey, as a homeowner, when do I need to get the building official involved? You know, if I'm changing a faucet, do I need a permit for that? You know, if I'm hanging a picture, you know, do I need a permit for that? You know, where's the line, and how do I interface with them? Is it going to cost a lot? Is it going to be a pain? I think that could be a really nice additional module. So I think that your point's well taken, and I think there's material out there you might also want to take advantage of. I can help you find the link, but if you go to the PMG webpage, there's a direct link right from there.
You know, just as Carvin again, one of the thoughts that I came up with as you were speaking, Sean, is that, you know, somewhere in our thinking as a council, and maybe as an overall view or vision for the ICC along the lines, is somewhere along the lines, let's consider, and maybe this is already in play, I don't know, but consider the opportunity of how can we bring in consumer interests into the Code Council in order to express their concerns about building codes and where we can start to meet their objectives. I think that's probably a very good place for us to start and to broach not only the different industries, but the various codes that impact the consumers in the field. So kind of work out a way in which to bring them into the fold to get their input, their perspective.
Yeah,
Just a thought.
I think that's some great discussions. I made a note here. I think we need to really explore that part, Carvin and Mark, you know, bringing in and I'll say dumbing down, or at least bringing down, you know, a basic set of information that we can distribute to a number of groups that way. I did have a question for the panel itself. I saw that everybody had looked at, you know, online training and webinars and things like that. How successful are you finding those overall? Are you finding success? Is that a truly growing industry? Do we need to look at focusing more on that overall? And I just will open it wide up. Anybody wants to answer, just jump right in.
From my perspective, the success has been mixed. You know, at ICC we've spent a lot of time and effort developing online programs around certification preparation and those certification exam practice courses, and those have been reasonably well received. You know, when people are preparing for an ICC certification, one of the first places that they'll look is there a CEP course out here that I can use as part of my preparation process. But what we haven't done a great job in, and what ICC needs to do better at, and we are doing better at it, but I think the industry itself is more designed for online education, as opposed to taking a classroom experience, a PowerPoint set of slides, and slapping them into an online format and then putting them up on a website and saying I've developed online training. because you really haven't. You've taken a classroom course and you've changed it to be delivered over online. But there's a very different set of instructional design principles and mechanics around developing for online. Now, the flip side of that is that the audience needs to be primed and ready to get their education in that way. And, as I said when I was speaking earlier, that I've been here just shy of 2 years. And one of the first things that I had heard when I first started talking to the community and talking to the members is that we don't like online. We like to come to a class and sit in a room with our peers and listen to the experts, present and interact and those kinds of things, which is great. And in an ideal world, that would be a wonderful way to continue. But we know what our budgets look like. We know what travel restrictions look like, and we need to be able to provide real online educational alternatives to our members and to the communities that are interested in them.
Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Just a few words. As far as the National Board goes, we've experienced quite a bit of improved and increased demand on the online training courses for a few reasons. One, the cost is minimized. Okay, so you don't have to attend a class at the National Board. If you want to branch out internationally, and this is where the National Board and ASME are focused, it really is a benefit for the international organizations as well to be able to log on online, take the courses. In fact, I'm taking an online training course myself right now through ASME for finite element analysis. This is something that I would not have the time to go to a class and sit through and pay all the expenses to get that information. So I think the online training courses are a great benefit.
I would add from a pool contractor's point of view that we've had somewhat of mixed reviews with online training as well, but I have to say that, given the times that we have now, it's almost a given that you have to have online training, because I would say, although I said mixed feelings, they're in favor of having online classes, because while they're building pools during the day, it gives them the opportunity to go take their classes 24/7 anytime that's convenient for them. So that's wonderful in terms of access. So I think online training is here to stay as another way in which to provide the vehicle. And I do agree that face-to-face does a lot better because of the interaction that goes on. But still, having online classes is the way to go. I think where there needs to be improvement is you've got to make them more entertaining. They've got to be shorter, more entertaining, more thought-provoking, so that once somebody gets online, they stay engaged as opposed to the same monotonous whatever, because if there's no enticement for them to do that, then they'll just keep putting it on the back burner. Then the other thing you may want to consider going forward is getting into bilingual. If you want to do international, that is definitely the place to go. I mean, you've got to start taking these codes, breaking it down into the primary bilingual languages, and start putting on courses like that, because with the internet, that's where you're going to get a lot of, interaction.
Yeah, that's certainly one of the things that's on our list, is to look at more bilingual training and bilingual information that's out there. Carmen, I did have an additional question for you as I thought about that. As you talked about certification for pool builders, how easy is that certification to obtain if we're a municipality and we decide we're going to start really getting into the pool and we start wanting to register or license pool builders? How difficult or easy it is for y'all to provide that certification out to different states or areas that may be interested in that?
Well, that's an interesting question, because what we would do is right now our programs are primarily geared towards pool contractors and pool operators and the like that are very much interested in wanting to build pools, whereas the ICC folks are more or less concerned about the code regulatory side of things. But there's nothing to say that if indeed we wanted to provide a program for certification of code officials, I mean, we could do that, but we would have to modify the program that would have some relevance to the code official, because unless the code official is really, really interested in wanting to know how to build a pool.
No, I'm not talking about code officials. I'm talking about if I have a municipality and I say I want my pool builders to be certified.
Yes, okay.
How easy do you, and we're talking training issues, how easy is it for them to obtain that training and to seek that certification?
Just contact us. Contact www.apsp.org, and we will set that up to make that happen. I'm sorry,
Okay, I'm sorry. I may not have made myself clear. So,
right.
but I was, interested as we look at, wanting the people that are out there doing the work to be professional is something.
As a matter of fact, we would look forward to that kind of an arrangement where the municipalities would be pushing the local pool contractors to be certified. That's exactly the new horizon that we're trying to achieve. So I would appreciate any incentives along those lines.
Yeah. Art.
So one of the advantages of the online that several people have mentioned is reducing the cost, but one of the roadblocks is the real communication that exists between them. And we've kind of tried a number of different approaches. We have webinars which are primarily one-directional. We do get good reviews on those, but again, the dialogue with the trainer isn't so good. I think a good mix would be you can have the expert, let's say, not travel, offer an online presentation, but maybe provide it at a facility where somebody there does proctor what's going on, that does communicate. But we've even done online presentations that are essentially live. They're to a small group, so they're not available via the web, but they might be to a group just like an audience you would have here, and people can come up to a microphone and speak directly to the trainer, but the trainer or presenter doesn't have to actually travel. So there are different ways to approach it, of course, and they're all a mix of different cost and communication level, but yeah, I do think you have to offer some kind of online training because what you really find is that the trainers are so few and the area they're trying to cover is so large, and the way to do it is online, even if it is live online, so you eliminate the travel, but you can still keep the communication.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
Jim, real quick, I think the whole concept of distance learning it's here, it's huge, and it's not going to go away. We're wrestling a little bit, though, with some of the certification and kind of what I'd call maybe the efficacy, of just how much someone gets out of it. Certain programs and certain elements have testing, but a host of things do not. They really are more educational by nature. And these are colleague down here, and he's doing a lot of good work. He's multitasking. He's got his laptop, his iPad, and his BlackBerry, and that's excellent. That really is putting the best use, and it's so much easier, though, from a distance learning standpoint, to just absorb a little fraction of it. And how do you know how much that they're really getting?
Yeah, and my point there is as we talk about education, how much focus do we need to start looking at at those and expanding those opportunities. We're getting pretty close on time. Are there any questions from the audience? Any further questions? We've got a couple other things we still have on our agenda. Steve Daggers. There's Steve. We'll get Steve to run up and give us a quick overview on a career path project. And then we'll get an update from our PMG staff, and then we'll try and adjourn and get you all over to the CDP access meetings as soon as we can.
Thank you. You bet. Thank you for letting me spend a couple of minutes with you, and I will keep this down to just a couple of minutes. I know you are tightly on schedule. What I was asked to do was perhaps plant a seed with you, something that we hope is going to grow into being a career tree. Yes, a career tree. It's an unusual kind of tree. One of the reasons for the membership councils is to support you in your career, help you advance your career, and to provide information for people that will be making a career in PMG. So one of the things we want to do on the website in the PMG area is to have career trees, so people who are advancing through the careers or who will be joining the career will be able to know what kind of education do they need, what kind of certifications do they need, and perhaps most importantly, what are the career opportunities for them. What kind of jobs are there? How do they get those jobs? What do they have to apply for? So Sean has asked me to give you a little bit of a homework assignment. And that homework assignment is to help us develop that seed that we'll plant to be into the tree. So if you would provide Sean by email, as you can, give him some ideas of the different career paths in the PMG professional areas. Give him some advice on what you want in certification and training, and give some advice to those that will be joining this field so that they can be as successful as you have been. Thank you very much. That's about as short and sweet as I can make it.
Jay or Sean, who's going to come up with staff like?
I can just take it from here just in the interest of time. Okay, so there's a lot going on in the industry. I can't update you on everything, but I'm going to hit a couple of the high points. If you haven't caught on by now, the green code and the swimming pool code are out. Obviously, we've talked about that. We also anticipate putting out in the very short future the water efficiency provisions version of the green code, just like we did before. It's not any different than what's in the green code. It just takes the water-related provisions from the IGCC alone and puts them in a separate document. That will be available very shortly, hopefully within a week or two, I believe. And so keep an eye out for that. So that's for jurisdictions that just want to address water-related items related to the green code. Two, I'm going to let Jay speak to a couple other things related to some initiatives we have going on. Just highlight for you, obviously, as far as the code cycle goes, the PMG-related codes, several of them are being heard in this very room. Later on, we have fuel gas starting today. We have probably plumbing later today, and we have the chair of the committee, Dave Cantrell, back there as well. And I believe the mechanical code will kick in later in the week. So if you're interested in PMG and the codes, by all means, if you're here, great. If not, they're live on the web, so you can take them in there. That's all Group A. Group B, that'll be the IGCC, the ISPSC, that's the swimming pool code, and the IRC, that chapters 12 to 33. Those are all Group B. That means if you have proposals for any of those codes, you got to get them in by January 3rd, 2012. Don't blame me for the date. I didn't pick it. 2013, pardon me. So if any proposals for those codes, January 3rd, 2013, start working on them now. We have a lot of new resources on the website. The discussion forum is really taking off. So I encourage this council, if you have items you want to discuss with your peers or get in front of building officials, the discussion forum is getting a lot of traffic, and it's a great place to get feedback from other code officials around the country. I mentioned Building Codes 101. That's on the PMG page. And the PMG Council, this council, has its own page. We anticipate taking the video from this session and other resources related to the membership council and putting them on there. So keep an eye out for that in the coming weeks, and we'll make you aware of that. We do also have a number of initiatives we want to announce. I know Jay's going to mention a few. I will take a moment to acknowledge an agreement we just signed with ASABE, with Darren's organization, to co-develop the landscape irrigation sprinkler standard that's underway, and that is coming along very nicely. So that is going to be an ICC/ASABE standard for landscape irrigation sprinklers. ASABE has been an integral part of that as we've moved along on that project. Travis Tsunamori from ASABE has been a huge part of that, and I can't acknowledge enough the expertise that they have brought to the table. We're now doing that in a more official way by making them a co-developer of that, and we couldn't be happier about that. So Darren, thank you very much for your organization's support of that effort. For those of you who are wondering where we are, we expect that irrigation standard, sprinkler standard, to go to public comment within probably the next several weeks, maybe a month or two, sometime this summer. We have one more meeting. That'll be May 30th and 31st in Chicago. So if anybody's so inclined, you're more than welcome to attend. But that addresses irrigation sprinklers, emitters, and devices of the sort. So we're really excited about that standard. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jay Peters, who has a few other items to announce.
Just a couple of quick items. Some of you are familiar with our global guideline for practical public toilet design that we developed in collaboration with the World Toilet Organization in about 11 countries. As of late, it's gaining some steam and some momentum. Sean just returned from instructing our green codes in Colombia this last week. While there, one of our partners that we've signed an MOU with has decided to adopt that as their code of practice. That's their name is APRICOF, one of our MOU partners. So in Colombia, they'll be utilizing our guideline. It appears that Singapore will be replacing their homegrown guideline for practical public toilet design with the ICC global guideline. And we even have interest from Russia that is now looking at utilizing it because the Olympics are coming up and they're trying to be more efficient in their creation of and providing toilets. So that's exciting news on the international front. Yesterday we had a very great momentous occasion when the National Environmental Health Association's president-elect and the CDC's branch chief came in and signed a memorandum of understanding with the ICC to begin coordinating our two parallel pool code initiatives and actually supporting each other. So that was a very nice event. Our CEO, Rick Weiland, signed the MOU with the CDC and National Environmental Health Association. So the pool code is gaining great momentum also. That's it, just very brief. Those are very recent in the last week or two, and I thought I'd just bring you up to date on those. So thank you.
Thank you very much, staff. Do we have any other comments, any other business? Any other business? Okay, seeing none, we'll consider this meeting adjourned, and I'll invite you to go next door for the CDP Access meeting, which is supposed to start in about 10 minutes. And thank you all for coming, spending your Sunday morning with us.